So when you think of Axl Rose, you're probably thinking of the rock god, right? But what if I told you there's this whole other side to him? I'm talking about William Bailey, the struggling actor. To really get a handle on the legend, and yeah, his iconic role as Tinkerbell, we've got to go back. We're going to explore what's known as his wilderness years. This is a deep dive into some of the absolute strangest performances you can imagine, on stage, in commercials, and even in the voiceover booth. I mean, listen to that. He's the hardest working Tinkerbell I know. And that's coming from the one and only Kathy Bates. But here's the thing, she's not talking about his rock and roll swagger. Nope. That praise was earned during that bizarre, super grueling period we were just talking about, his wilderness years. These were the performances, a lot of them completely anonymous, that were absolutely essential for shaping the masterpiece that he would eventually create. So, where does a journey like this even begin? Well, for Bailey, it wasn't with a big standing ovation. Not even close. His professional start was, well, it was a totally baffling performance in a local children's play. And when I say baffling, I mean it deeply unsettled all the little kids in the audience. Okay, so get this. He was cast as this abstract bad guy called the Whammy. It's a role they literally just made up for the show to symbolize, vague anxieties. But Bailey, he decides to channel these profound philosophical ideas and menacing theological whispers, all from behind a papier-mâché rock. Talk about a conceptual mismatch. This was on another level. I mean, just imagine being a little kid and hearing that line delivered with total fire and brimstone intensity. It became the stuff of local legend, for sure. And really, this first role set the stage for his whole early career, this pattern of bringing this intense, misplaced philosophical weight to everything he did. It was just this authentic, totally bizarre commitment to his art, no matter what the job was. All right, so flash forward a bit. He has this initial TV success, playing this sort of volcanic, juvenile delinquent type. But with that growing fame came a mandate from the network. They basically told him, you got to clean up your act. So what does he do? He makes this very calculated move away from that persona and pivots toward these incredibly disciplined and, yeah, deeply strange stage roles. And this whole period, you can just see this progression. He's taking on roles that demand just extreme physical and mental control. This wasn't about getting famous. No, this was all about honing that serious discipline that was always kind of simmering right under the surface of his famous volatility. So let's look at one of these roles. He's in a Milwaukee Community Theater version of 12 Angry Men, and he gets this super demanding mute role. The director's idea was to fill the courtroom with silent townspeople, and Bailey's only direction? Project impatience while standing completely still in a corner for the entire 90-minute show. Think about that. I mean, standing still is one thing, right? But to silently give off what sources actually called a raw, coiled energy, that's a whole other skill. And critics at the time pointed it out, saying his super rigid posture was just this powerful proof of the incredible discipline he was building. But if you think that's weird, oh, just wait. We get to what might be the single greatest tonal clash of his entire career. He was cast as Mr. McFeely, yes, that Mr. McFeely, in Samuel Beckett's super bleak existential play, Waiting for Godot. I mean, that casting choice is so bizarre, it's practically a piece of performance art all by itself. And how did he prepare for this role? Well, he went full method actor. To get the perfect, happy-go-lucky delivery of the line, speedy delivery, he insisted on holding a 50-pound sack of lentils for 14 hours straight. It was this absolutely staggering act of commitment that just floored his co-stars, including, you guessed it, Kathy Bates. So, after all this bizarrely visible stage work, Bailey kind of pulls back from the public eye. He retreats into the total anonymity of the voiceover world. And you can see why, right? It was like a sanctuary for him, a place where he could use his incredible vocal range without all the baggage of his public persona. Now, the role itself was pretty minor, and the project, this horror pilot, was a total flop. But this is where his amazing vocal talents found this really unique, kind of niche use. He was literally just hired for the power of his voice. That's it. But here's the cool part. Even when he was completely anonymous, his skill was still getting noticed. This note from the sound mixer, buried deep in some old production logs, is proof. It just shows that his talent was undeniable, even when his name wasn't attached to the work at all. Okay, so fast forward again to the mid-90s. At this point, the Axl Rose persona is just everywhere. It's so big that the image of Axl Rose becomes its own thing, a commodity, totally separate from William Bailey, the actor. And this is where the story gets really fascinating and kind of meta. And we see this distinction play out in this just mind-boggling piece of casting for an ad campaign. See, the public wasn't just interested in William Bailey, the guy who acts. No, they were invested in Axl Rose, the icon. He had become a cultural property, something you could actually license and sell. So the commercial comes out, and it doesn't even star William Bailey. It stars the veteran character actor Clint Howard, playing Axl Rose. Bailey himself even called it the ultimate stage of commercial commodification. Just think about that. His own persona was now a role that other actors could go out and audition for. Wild. So you're probably wondering, what's the point of all this? The motionless standee, the screaming, Clint Howard. Why does any of it matter? Well, because these weird in-between roles, they weren't career mistakes or failures. They were actually the essential confines, the training grounds that forged him into a much more formidable artist. That incredible, unwavering intensity we see in his later masterpiece, that didn't just come out of nowhere. It was sharpened and perfected through all these bizarre, probably frustrating, and totally formative experiences. Every single one added another layer of discipline, of control, of resilience, and all of that is what made his ultimate triumph possible. The career of William Bailey really suggests that the answer is a definitive yes. The wilderness, it turns out, wasn't a place he got lost. It was the necessary training ground.